Welcome to a journey beyond time itself, into the first words ever spoken. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Today, we'll unlock the miracle of Genesis 1, where divine power shaped light from darkness, worlds from emptiness, and life from dust. Was it pure miracle, divine science, or a cosmic blueprint hidden in ancient words? Join us as we explore how God created the universe, from the roaring birth of stars to the delicate balance of life on earth, and discover why Genesis 1 continues to inspire faith, awe, and endless debate. How God created the universe, the miracle of Genesis 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Genesis 1 verse 1. These opening words of a Bible echo through history, inspiring billions. Genesis 1 is not merely ancient poetry. It's a profound declaration that the universe has a divine origin. Whether you approach it as sacred truth, symbolic narrative, or a cosmic code intertwined with science, Genesis 1 remains one of humanity's most captivating texts. Let's journey through each day of creation and explore how God created the universe, and why this story continues to shape our understanding of existence. The context of Genesis 1. Genesis was likely written or compiled during or after the Babylonian exile, 6th century BC. The Israelites, surrounded by polytheistic cultures, proclaimed that one God, not many, created everything. Unlike other ancient myths featuring gods battling chaos monsters or each other, Genesis 1 speaks of a sovereign creator who brings forth order by simply speaking. Genesis 1 also provides a framework for time, introducing the 7-day week, which shapes Jewish and Christian life to this day. Yet, Genesis 1 is more than cultural artifact. It's an invitation to ponder existence itself. Day 1. Light shatters the darkness. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. Genesis 1 verses 3 to 4. On the first day, God creates light. But there's a mystery. The sun, moon, and stars don't appear until day 4. So what was this light? Some theologians say it symbolizes God's glory or divine truth. Others propose it was the initial burst of energy at the universe's birth. From a scientific perspective, Genesis 1 verse 3 resembles the cosmic dawn after the Big Bang. Physicists believe the universe began 13.8 billion years ago as an ultra-hot, dense point. Moments after the Big Bang, light, photons, began to travel freely as the universe expanded and cooled. The cosmic microwave background radiation we detect today is the faint echo of that first light. Though Genesis wasn't a scientific text, many find it fascinating that light emerges at the dawn of creation in both scripture and cosmology. Day 2. The sky and the waters. And God said, "Let there be a vault between the waters to separate water from water." So God made the vault and separated the water under the vault from the water above it. Genesis 1 verses 6 to 7. Ancient people envisioned a solid dome, the firmament, overhead, holding back celestial waters. Rain fell when windows in the sky opened. To modern readers, this cosmology seems quaint, but the underlying theme is powerful. God brings order by taming chaos. In many ancient Near Eastern myths, creation involves slaying chaos monsters. Genesis, instead, shows God effortlessly organizing reality with his word. Scientifically, the early Earth was a watery chaos. Eventually, as the atmosphere formed, water vapor condensed into rain, filling oceans and leaving breathable air above, a division of waters reminiscent of Day 2. Day 3. Dry land and green life. Let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let dry ground appear. Genesis 1 verse 9. On day 3, God commands the seas to retreat, revealing land. Then He orders the earth to produce plants. Let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants and trees on the land that bear fruit with seed in it. This reflects a transition from formlessness to a structured, life-supporting world. Plants appear first because they're the foundation of life's food chains. From a scientific timeline, after Earth cooled, continents rose from the seas through tectonic processes. The first photosynthetic organisms emerged in oceans billions of years ago, followed by plants colonizing land around 470 million years ago. These plants transformed Earth's atmosphere, enriching it with oxygen, a miracle for sustaining animals and humans. Genesis compresses these vast ages into a single day, but the progression from ocean to land to plant life resonates with modern science. Day 4, sun, moon, and stars. And God said, "Let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark sacred times and days and years." Genesis 1 verse 14. Critics often ask, if God created light on day 1, why create the sun, moon, and stars on day 4? Ancient readers saw no contradiction. Genesis distinguishes between creating light itself, day 1, and assigning luminaries to govern time, day 4. The sun, moon, and stars serve practical purposes, marking seasons, festivals, and calendars. Scientifically, stars, including the sun, began forming after the primordial universe cooled. Earth existed in darkness under thick clouds until the atmosphere cleared enough for sunlight to fully penetrate, a process that took eons. Some suggest Genesis 1 might reflect this gradual unveiling. More importantly, Genesis challenges ancient beliefs that heavenly bodies were gods. Instead, they're mere creations, tools of divine order. Day 5, life in the seas and skies. And God said, "Let the water teem with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the vault of the sky." Genesis 1 verse 20. Day 5 celebrates the explosive diversity of life in water and air. Fish, whales, and every winged bird appear at God's command. Biologists call the period between 540-485 million years ago the Cambrian explosion, when animal life suddenly diversified in Earth's oceans. Later, fish evolved into amphibians, reptiles, and birds. Genesis compresses these ages into a single creative act, focusing not on biological details, but on the wonder of life teeming across 2 realms. Importantly, God blesses these creatures, commanding them to be fruitful and increase in number, revealing a divine delight in life's abundance. Day 6, animals and humanity. And God said, "Let the land produce living creatures, livestock, creatures that move along the ground, and wild animals." Genesis 1 verse 24. Day 6 begins with animals. Then comes a monumental statement. Then God said, "Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish, the birds, the livestock, and all the creatures that move along the ground." Genesis 1 verse 26. In our image. These words have launched centuries of theological discussion. What does it mean for humans to bear God's image? Scholars propose several views. Relational. We are created for relationship with God and one another. Functional. We share God's role as rulers over creation. Spiritual. We reflect God's morality, creativity, and reason. Genesis 1 doesn't explain how God made humanity, only that humans are unique among creatures. Unlike animals, humans receive a divine commission to steward creation. From a scientific perspective, Homo sapiens evolved over hundreds of thousands of years. Many believers reconcile this with Genesis by viewing the image of God as a spiritual gift, not purely biological. Whether you interpret Genesis literally or figuratively. Day 6 proclaims human dignity and purpose. Day 7, divine rest. By the seventh day, God had finished the work he had been doing. So on the seventh day, he rested from all his work. Genesis 2 verse 2. God doesn't rest because he's tired, but because creation is complete and perfectly ordered. He establishes the Sabbath as a sacred rhythm, work and rest. The Sabbath is one of Genesis 1's most enduring legacies. It reminds humanity that we're not slaves to endless labor. We're meant for balance, worship, and reflection. In ancient cultures, gods rested in temples once order was established. Genesis presents the entire cosmos as God's temple, where he reigns and dwells. Theological significance of Genesis 1. Genesis 1 is not just a chronology, it's theology. It reveals monotheism, one God, sovereign and good, order over chaos. Creation is intentional, not random. Creation's goodness. God declares creation good repeatedly. Human dignity. Humanity has divine purpose and value. Sacred time. The Sabbath as holy rhythm. This ancient text still shapes our moral, philosophical, and environmental views. It affirms that existence is not meaningless but purpose-filled. Genesis and modern science. Conflict or harmony. Throughout history, believers and skeptics have debated Genesis 1's relationship to science. There are several ways people interpret it. 1. Literal 24-hour days. Some Christians insist the 6 days were literal, 24-hour periods about 6,000 to 10,000 years ago. They see science as either mistaken or misinterpreted. 2. Day-age theory. Others view each day as representing long geological ages. This allows for billions of years while preserving the Genesis order. 3. Framework view. Some scholars argue Genesis 1 is a literary framework rather than chronological history. It's structured in 2 triads. Days 1 to 3, forming realms, light, sky/sea, land. Days 4 to 6, filling realms, lights, birds/fish, animals/humans. This view emphasizes theological truths over scientific detail. 4. Theistic evolution. Many Christians accept evolution, but believe God guided the process. They see Genesis 1 as a poetic explanation of divine creation rather than a scientific manual. The miracle of Genesis 1. Whether read literally, figuratively, or symbolically, Genesis 1 is a miracle in itself. A text from 3,000 years ago still sparks debate. It captures humanity's deepest questions. Why are we here? Who made all this? It affirms that the universe is purposeful and good. In a cosmos vast and ancient beyond imagination, Genesis 1 declares that we are not accidents, but creations of a God who speaks worlds into being. These are some of the most famous words ever written. For thousands of years, they've been whispered in prayer, thundered from pulpits, debated in classrooms, and cherished in the hearts of believers. Whether you're a person of faith, a skeptic, a scientist, or simply curious about humanity's ancient wisdom, one thing is undeniable. Genesis 1 still matters. Yet why should an ancient text, written in a pre-scientific age, still occupy such a powerful place in modern conversations about the universe, humanity, and meaning? Let's explore why Genesis 1 endures and why it remains profoundly relevant today. Genesis 1, ancient text, timeless questions. Genesis 1 is the opening chapter of the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament. Scholars believe it was finalized during or after the Babylonian exile, around the 6th century BCE. It was written in a world surrounded by myths from Mesopotamia, Egypt, and other ancient cultures. Unlike other creation myths, Genesis 1 presents a radical idea. One God creates everything. The universe is orderly and good. Humanity has a special place and purpose. These ideas were revolutionary in their time, and they still shape how billions view existence today. The core messages of Genesis 1. Before diving into why Genesis 1 matters today, let's briefly summarize its key themes. God is the ultimate creator. Creation is intentional, not accidental. Creation is good. 6 times, God declares His work good. On the 6th day, it's very good. Creation is ordered. Light, sky, land, plants, animals, humans. Everything has its place. Humans are made in God's image. We have dignity, purpose, and a unique role in creation. Rest is sacred. God rests on the 7th day, establishing the pattern of the Sabbath. These themes are not just religious doctrines. They touch on questions every human asks. Where did we come from? Why are we here? Does life have meaning? What is our responsibility toward the world? Why Genesis 1 still matters. Let's explore several reasons Genesis 1 remains vital in our modern world. 1. It shapes our understanding of God. Genesis 1 introduces a God who creates by speaking. Unlike the gods of other ancient myths, the God of Genesis doesn't battle monsters or spill blood to bring forth the cosmos. Instead, He calmly commands, "Let there be light." This portrayal shapes how billions understand God. Transcendent, God exists outside of creation. Personal, God speaks and wills. Orderly, God's work is deliberate and structured. Even non-religious thinkers recognize the philosophical significance of such a concept. Genesis 1 introduced the idea of a rational, singular creator, a notion that laid intellectual foundations for Western thought, including science. 2. It proclaims that creation is good. In Genesis 1, God repeatedly calls creation good. The physical world is not evil or worthless, it's valuable. This message has enormous implications. Human dignity. If creation is good, human life has inherent worth. Environmental stewardship. The earth is not merely a resource to exploit, it's a gift to cherish. Enjoyment of life. Art, music, nature, and human relationships are worth celebrating. In a world often plagued by violence, greed, and despair, Genesis 1's refrain of "it was good" is a reminder that beauty and goodness remain at the universe's core. 3. It teaches the sacredness of work and rest. Genesis 1 culminates in the Sabbath. God rested from all His work, blessing the 7th day. This concept shapes entire cultures. The idea of a 7-day week, with 1 day set apart for rest, originates in Genesis. It reminds humanity, we're not machines. We need rhythm, work, and rest. Life is about more than productivity. In an age of burnout, 24/7 connectivity, and relentless hustle, the Sabbath principle remains deeply relevant. It's a call to pause, reflect, and reconnect with God, with family, and with ourselves. 4. It affirms human value and purpose. Genesis 1 declares, "Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish, the birds, the livestock, and all the creatures that move along the ground." The phrase "image of God," Imago Dei, is among the most powerful ideas in human history. It means every human has infinite value. Our purpose includes stewardship, creativity, and moral responsibility. No one is expendable, regardless of race, class, or status. This belief fueled historical movements for human rights, abolition of slavery, and social justice. It remains a bulwark against ideologies that reduce people to economic units or political pawns. 5. It connects faith and science. One reason Genesis 1 matters today is the ongoing dialogue between faith and science. Critics sometimes claim Genesis is obsolete because modern science explains cosmic origins through the Big Bang and evolution. But many scholars and believers find harmony, not conflict, between Genesis 1 and scientific discovery. Literal versus non-literal readings. Some interpret Genesis 1 as 6 literal, 24-hour days. Others see it as poetic or symbolic, revealing truths about God and creation rather than scientific timelines. For instance, the framework interpretation sees Genesis 1 structured in 2 triads. Days 1 to 3, God forms realms, light/dark, sky/sea, land/vegetation. Days 4 to 6, God fills those realms, sun/moon/stars, bird/fish, animals/humans. This literary approach emphasizes theology rather than chronology. Science and awe. Modern cosmology describes the universe's birth in a massive explosion of energy, the Big Bang. Genesis 1 speaks of light emerging from darkness. While the Bible doesn't provide scientific details, both science and Genesis evoke awe at the universe's grandeur. Physicist Paul Davies once wrote, "The universe is not only stranger than we imagine, it is stranger than we can imagine." Genesis 1 suggests that the strangeness might be rooted in divine artistry. 6. It addresses the chaos in our lives. Genesis 1 describes God bringing order out of chaos. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep. Into that darkness, God speaks light and structure. That's more than cosmic history. It's a metaphor for human life. We all face seasons of chaos, grief, illness, uncertainty, broken relationships. Genesis 1 whispers hope. Chaos doesn't have the final word. God can transform it into order, beauty, and purpose. 7. It speaks to our environmental crisis. Environmental destruction is one of the 21st century's greatest challenges. Genesis 1 declares humanity as stewards of creation, not tyrants. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over every living creature. Subdue and rule have often been misused to justify exploitation. But in context, they mean responsible care. Adam and Eve are placed in the garden to work it and take care of it. Genesis 1 calls us to respect ecosystems, protect endangered species, live sustainably. It insists the earth matters because it's God's good creation. 8. It inspires art and culture. Genesis 1 has inspired centuries of creativity. From Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel, ceiling, to Haydn's Oratorio the Creation, artists have drawn on this ancient text to capture wonder and beauty. Even secular writers and filmmakers borrowed Genesis imagery when portraying beginnings, light, darkness, and the struggle for meaning. Genesis 1's influence on language and art is so deep that many people quote it unknowingly. Phrases like "let there be light" have entered everyday speech as symbols of discovery and illumination. 9. It grounds identity and meaning. In an age of identity crises and existential questions, Genesis 1 offers a profound answer. You are not an accident. Your life has purpose. You bear the image of God. For believers, that's a deeply personal truth. But even for non-believers, Genesis 1 serves as a cultural reminder that human life has inherent dignity and meaning. The modern relevance, more than science versus faith. Some people dismiss Genesis 1 as scientifically obsolete. That misses the point. Genesis 1 isn't a science textbook. It's a theological and philosophical manifesto. Its questions remain timeless. Who am I? Where did we come from? Is the universe random or purposeful? Does my life have meaning? Science can reveal how the universe operates, but Genesis 1 speaks to why it exists and why we exist. The miracle of Genesis 1. Genesis 1 itself is a miracle. Written millennia ago, It still sparks debate, faith, and art. It continues to shape moral systems and legal codes. It offers hope that light conquers darkness. In a universe filled with galaxies and black holes, Genesis 1 insists we are more than cosmic dust. We are creatures of purpose, wonder, and dignity. Genesis 1 in a pluralistic world. Today, we live in a diverse, pluralistic world. Not everyone believes in the God of Genesis. Yet the values in Genesis 1, human dignity, care for creation, the sacredness of life, resonate across faiths and philosophies. For Christians, Jews, and Muslims, Genesis 1 is foundational. For secular thinkers, it remains a cultural and ethical treasure, a text for all ages. Why does Genesis 1 still matter? Because we still look up at the stars and wonder. Because we still yearn for meaning. Because we still hope chaos can become order. Because the words "it was good" remind us the world is worth loving. Genesis 1 isn't just ancient literature. It's humanity's first great poem about who we are and why we're here. And so long as those questions remain, Genesis 1 will matter. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey through Genesis 1 and the miracle of creation. Whether you see it as divine history, cosmic poetry, or a blend of faith and science, one thing is clear. The story of how God created the universe still fills us with wonder and awe. If you enjoyed exploring these mysteries, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe for more deep dives into ancient truths and modern insights, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and remember, the universe began with a word. Stay inspired,